I know like there's going to be fake money in the metaverse. It's going to be CBDCs.
Got my glasses for the metaverse. I was ready for it. I was like, yeah, sponsored by Ray-Ban.
You could ride on and get your picture of Mickey Mouse sat with your tube in your side. Fucking VR headset popped on.
While you're riding Mickey Mouse with your crotch attachment. I'll be happy not being in there.
Did you guys see the Island Boys?
I don't think it. Yeah, because it's.
I literally can't say the term Island Boys without saying it in Jamaican now. I can't
I'm an Island boy. Here we are once again, pod number 25, the world's most bullish podcast, Mr. All-In, Dr. Evil 10%, myself, Sir Never Look, with our fourth guest, mysteriously hiding, never to be seen again, maybe, Mrs. No-Show.
Do you reckon he's got locked in at Starbucks?
Yeah, I think there's more chance of us getting cancelled any moment now than Mrs. No-Show returning.
We need to have a guest on the show soon, I feel.
Yeah.
But then again, we just need the three of us a few times because we've had a number of weeks with only two.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think we need to get used to three for a bit. But yeah, my brother's waiting in the wings. If he wants to call up, he could well appear.
Maybe deal me in.
Yeah, he could come. Yeah. But I hope Mark's got like shares in Starbucks or something because he's pumping that share price. So he needs to turn up. He needs to be the 4Bs. It's been the 4Bs like twice.
Yeah.
What are we up to now? About week 27 or 28 or something like
that?
29.
Week 29, mate.
It's 27 weeks since he turned up. So I think that ship has long sailed. So let's give up on that.
Yeah. Bitcoin's literally gone through a 60% correction and then done putting all the way back up. And in the time that he has not been here.
It's true. Well, we're still here. We're still fighting the good fight. Loads been happening as always in the world of Bitcoin. And also, I think we should say in the world of crypto as well, from shit NFTs to EFTs and new people wading in, more inflation. So, let's start the agenda. As always, the rules are look at the show notes, everything's in there, and we'll go from there.
There's not enough about Dink Doink at the moment.
Yeah, and there's one point I wanted to pull you boys up on, right? It's the net worth thing. I remember, obviously, I couldn't do it because you both weren't here last week.
Yes.
And you both alluded to the fact that you're calculating what percent you are into Bitcoin.
Yes.
You were kind of you're only doing it on investments, which look, that is fair enough. You're saying what your percentage on investments is. All right, fine. But that's one stat. But then if you're going to say, if you want to be future Mr. All-In, you need to be properly all in, not just on investments, but like if you've got an expensive car or a property, or you've got a load of jewelry or a pile of gold in the corner, then my argument would be, look, some of those are not investments. Some of them are just sunk assets, liabilities, whatever, but it's part of your net worth. So your Bitcoin allocation, in my argument would be, you need the percent that you are into Bitcoin should include everything. And that gives a true reflection. Because just to throw a stupid example out there, let's say you've got 10 grand in Bitcoin, but you're living inside $1 million house. And all your investments outside of your house are in Bitcoin. You could go, I'm Mr. All-In. I'm 10K in Bitcoin. That is all my investment money is in there. It's like, well, you're not, are you? You're actually 0.1% in. You're sat in $1 million house. Like, so really you're all in on property and it's the one you're sat in. So that's just my argument. And it's just, if you were to redo that.
I mean, it's a good point, but it is also, when you get to family life, it is kind of like your citadel. So it's not one which I consider, because when we talk about net worth, it's what can be used at any point. Like, I need to live in a house. I've got a house for my family. It's what I raise my kids in. I'm not ever going to sell. I don't count it because it's not going to help me retire because I'm going to be living here. So that's why I don't count it. And then in terms of other assets, I'm kind of like, what, my bike? Is that something which we count?
Yeah.
I'm not selling that.
I know. I think about my bike sometimes, and I'm like, no. There's because when we think, oh, there's a dip. What can I sell? I look around and I'm like, yeah, no, the bike's not going. That bike's not going. No, I've got nothing more to sell.
Yeah. Or if anything, all it is really, it's an honesty metric. I think it should be included so you're more honest with what percent you are in investments and whatever. Because if like, let's just say like your house is 50% when you add on bikes and all that kind of stuff, it's just now, it's more of an honest conversation with yourself where you're going, oh, right, of the tangible assets that I've got, because I know people say, oh, I can't ever realize the money in my house. That's going to ultimately be kind of inheritance for someone down the line. Well, I would push back on that and go, well, you could get that money if you wanted. I rent, for example. So you could rent a family house. That is not out of the question. So it's purely just having that difficult conversation with yourself going, no, you are choosing to tie that money up. It could well be a completely legitimate decision. And I actually probably support it because I think even though financially it's probably a poor decision, mentally it's a good one. It gives you that stability. And you don't have to worry about some landlord coming in and kicking you out. Like owning your own property is definitely a thing. I just think be honest with yourself and go, what percent are you in Bitcoin? That percentage, if it was 10% before and it's now 40, is it if you include your house? Or how does that come down?
It would cut my my money in Bitcoin if I did include my house. But like I said, it's probably about the stability. And then the other things, I think there's odd bits and pieces. It's not like I own a lot of random stuff. So I think it'd literally be my cycling and my gym kit. It's probably most expensive things. And you could count my clothes, but I need clothes to wear. And I don't buy clothes every month.
My point is that like clothes are part of your life, right? So clothes might be 0.5% of your net worth. That's a part of it. It's just include it, right? It's just, and then when you eventually get to Bitcoin, you go, what is that percentage? That's my point.
The good way to maybe do it is when you do your insurance and then they say, what would it take to put you in that same position again, should everything burn down or your house gets robbed?
You accumulate so much crap over the years, don't you?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like the kitchen table. If I bought it new, God knows how much it would be. But if I sold it now, it'd probably be 50 quid.
Yeah. I'm all up for doing it, actually. What are you going to base it on? Are you going to base it on the figure of the price that you bought it at or the reduced price now that obviously over time, like my sofa was 4K at the time. We've had it for over 5 years. So has inflation increased it, or obviously the fact that I've had it over that time decreased it?
Furniture doesn't have much resale, does it?
No.
The way I do it, right, is on my little spreadsheet. It's if you were to liquidate everything today, what money do you end up with?
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I say I'm all in on Bitcoin, because I've accumulated and probably spent quite a lot of money over the time on a shit ton of various things. Most of them have a resale value of nearly zero. So
the hookers have zero.
Exactly. I always went down into his experiences. So like all your clothes and like all your gadgets, like laptops and TVs, sofas, beds.
Yeah.
No one's buying that shit. Like even my car, that's probably lost 80% of its value. So I only would count the final 20%. If I liquidate everything today, literally just went on a fire sale, right? Just clicked sell on every single thing I had. What amount of money is there? And then what percentage is the breakdown? And at the moment, I categorically know very certainty how much Bitcoin there is. The other stuff's a little bit more vague, but I know it isn't material. It's pretty much, it's not going to be more than 2% when I compare it to the Bitcoin. That's why I go, I'm 98% in Bitcoin, and I'm not hiding any big number. It's the other number that is outside of assets that I need to drive to places, like clothes to wear, like a TV to watch. That is the 2% that I need to run my life.
Yeah. Do you know, I'll probably end up like a minimalist with nothing in the house and just get rid of everything.
I think it's the equity in the house. So the fact that we've had, inflation on the house since we've lived here, puts it right up, then I suppose you split that equity in half as well, because it'd be half my wife's, half mine. So I suppose it probably reduces, off the top of my head, thinking about how much
You had
we've
to
got
say
the
that
house
for the
for.
recording in case she watches.
In case she doesn't watch. She just thinks he's off talking to his friends about the magical internet money again. What the fuck is wrong with him? So, including like house, random crap, I reckon I moved from about 40% to about 25%.
Okay.
That'd be my realistic figure, and that would be taking everything into account.
Yeah, it's still pretty meaty. It's pretty good.
Yeah, mine would be less, and probably more on the I'd say maybe 10, if not less, because of the three properties.
Do we need to change names? Are you Dr. 10%?
I'm probably Dr. 10%. Not on purpose, just because of the value of everything, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a property. Yeah. Property is a big thing, and I'm sure you bought your property, 4 or 5 years ago as well?
Yeah, 4 years, yeah.
So prices have changed quite a lot.
And by the way, you can't include the full value of your property. You can only include what you've paid. Like if you were to sell that house, what you get out, not the...
Well, that's it, because we've had on my house, about 30% increase on what that is selling for, and then how much we paid as well. So that's what I'm basing it on. And halving it as well.
Yeah, I'm probably about 10%.
Yeah. So
a lot of work to do on both of you then.
Yeah.
Well, I do think if the situation was different, like if I was, before wife and kids, when I'd actually hooked onto Bitcoin, I think my situation would be different. I probably would still have other investments, but I'd probably have more in Bitcoin as well. But I really didn't understand the magical internet money back then.
Yeah.
And I think you said it, Gaz, and I read one of Max Kaiser's tweets. You get Bitcoin when you deserve it. And it is what it is. I didn't understand it. I didn't invest to it. I had no interest, apart from I put 500 quid on it in 2017, was it? Which was a complete gamble.
Yeah, that was your equivalent of buying a shitcoin in NFT. It was just a YOLO.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't, say, oh yeah, I invested £500 and now it's worth, what's that? It would have been over 4x now. Yeah. But that was fluke in a way.
Yeah, well, there's moving on to our first story, there's someone else that just seems to be getting the value of Bitcoin. And that seems to be our arch nemesis, the banks. So last week we had MasterCard rolling out, they're saying they're rolling out accepting Bitcoin. This is now like literally I think it was literally days later, if not the next day after the podcast last week, where literally it's the chairman of the FDIC, which is the kind of top guy in US bank regulators, is saying they are seriously investigating and looking at how do we bring Bitcoin into the banks. They need to actually hold custody of it, because they're scared if they don't do it, it's going to develop outside of the banks, and then we won't be able to regulate it at all. It's just going to be forever like the Wild West. And this is just massive, right? This is them getting scared. This is the whole, we can't beat them, join them. We got to buy our Bitcoin. We got to start holding Bitcoin.
This was my breaking news, but this is the proper article.
Yeah.
But this is two trains of thought. It's one, my comment was, always worries me when traditional things want to get in. They want the control, they want to catch up. But then it is also, you've got to accept it as part of hyper-Bitcoinization, haven't you? That everyone is going to adopt into Bitcoin, and this is part of the process. Yeah,
we can't trust these guys as far as we can throw them, right? This is like the red flag, or like the alert signal that we were sending out before, which is this happened with gold, right? They kind of ignored gold for ages, and then once it becomes popular and everyone starts trading it, the governments and the banks realized the people were just free to do whatever they want. They were hoarding their own wealth. They weren't dependent on government anymore. So what they passed some laws that went, right, it's illegal to hold more than an ounce of gold. You have to go hold it in the bank. This is step one. At the moment, they couldn't even pass a law like that because they have no clue of how to take custody of our Bitcoin. This is them probably going, right, we need to learn how to hold Bitcoin and how to look after it. And then a few years down the line, we're going to go, let's pass a law that goes, it's illegal to hold more than 20,000 Satoshis. It's for your benefit that you give it to us. Don't worry, you will get some IOUs back in the form of some random CBDC coin or something. And don't worry, they're forever redeemable 1-to-1 in your Satoshis until they're not. And before you know it, they fiat and fractional reserve Bitcoin, and they steal the Bitcoin just as they stole all the gold.
I think that'd be a long term. So something which you said about the IOUs, the fact is that Bitcoin, it has come about as a result of trying to go against that. Yep. So I feel like the IOUs would be a bit of a long term. It'd be 30 years when everyone's kind of forgotten. So I feel like you kind of jumping the gun a little bit on that one. And then in terms of...
I see it like there's been a series of break-ins from people holding their own Bitcoin and held to ransom, even murders. Let's take it there. People have been murdered, and it was all down to Bitcoin. It wasn't. It could have just been a random break-in, and people could have just been randomly killed. But they'll spin it that it's down to Bitcoin. In order for you not to have this happen to you, we suggest giving us the money, and we'll hold the money safe, then or the Bitcoin safe in return for XYZ, and then before you know it, you're fleeced.
Yeah. They're going to have to come up with a way to securely hold it, though, so only you can access it. I think that's the kind of challenge, because at the moment it's self-sovereign, and it's a fact that no one else can access it unless they know the details. So they've got the public and private key. So how exactly is a bank going to store the Bitcoin and make sure that only you can access it?
Yeah, they'll do the exchange same as what the exchanges do.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. The exchanges essentially act as the banks now. It's just that the traditional banks aren't involved in this game right now. And even when they do, and they do a random ETF, or they have some random fund that is backed by Bitcoin, someone else does the custody. This is them going, right, we actually do the custody. It's a whole series of cold wallets and hot wallets. Do you have I think like Coinbase have, say, 500 Bitcoin at any one time in a hot wallet. So every time someone wants to send some Bitcoin out, you just send it from a default hot wallet that sits there. But they're like 1 million Bitcoin or something that they have actually in custody. That's in a cold wallet that has a whole load of security protocols behind it. And what someone does manually is they top up this hot wallet. So their worst case scenario is if they were to get hacked and their entire infrastructure was to be compromised, you would have access to the hot wallet that might have 500 Bitcoin in it. So they would lose a shit ton of money, don't get me wrong, but that's just for convenience. That can all be automated. Their machines just process the transactions, and customers aren't pissed off with having days or weeks to get a withdrawal. Customers want quick withdrawals. It will still have a shit ton of security around it, but the real security will be around their offline cold wallets, and they will probably have thousands of those things, or at least 100 or so, all with their unique words, their codes, and they will come out of cold storage occasionally to top up this hot wallet. And the banks need to learn all that. It's not easy, but it's just they do safety deposit boxes. It's just a series of that, really. And they just need to learn the tech.
When going along that theme, then, for a company, and let's pick MicroStrategy or Coinbase, carrying along that, would they have individuals that know certain phrases off the seed word? Like, who ultimately owns the million within Coinbase, or however many within MicroStrategy, and what happens to that individual or individuals to then get to that in the event that they need to get to the offline cold storage?
Yeah, well, it's a controversial one because MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor got called out for exactly this, because they don't take custody of their Bitcoin, MicroStrategy. So they have like 114,000 Bitcoin or something.
Yep.
But they use the Coinbase corporate custody service. So they trust them to look after it. And to a certain extent, they don't really publish how they do it, which for obvious reasons, because they don't want it out there. So then you can, because the classic way of stealing that would be go and get a job in it. And then if they've already published where the good jobs are, so they've obviously figured it out, and Coinbase have never lost serious Bitcoin. So however they've done it, they're very, very good at doing their cold storage, and they must spread it across dozens of people and loads of sign off. And they've successfully, because obviously the easiest way to hack any company is just to go get a job in their security team and then just freaking drain a wallet, but no one's done it. But they're holding huge amounts of Bitcoin. And at the moment, the big companies that are holding it on their balance sheet, they're not tackling the custody issue. So at the moment, it's big business for people like Coinbase, Gemini. I think they all have corporate arms to their product. They have a consumer arm and they have a corporate arm. So if you're willing to really buy serious Bitcoin, then there's a whole custody service. And I assume it costs a fortune to do all that.
Yeah.
But obviously someone like MicroStrategy, I think they hold $7 billion worth of it now. So I would not be surprised if they're paying Coinbase like upwards of 10 million a year just to secure that money, that Bitcoin. Yeah. And that's obviously an entire company. That employs 100 people and a shit ton of servers and kit and offices and everything, like 10 million quid a year. So you're securing 7 billion. So it's kind of worth it.
Do you think that's then a barrier for other companies to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets because of the whole security issue? And internally, who do we trust? Like, who's going to be here in 2, 5, 10 years' time and, can have the security to be trusted, essentially?
Yeah, no, it is a barrier, but it's the same as going, let's say whatever currency was failing before and we're moving to a gold standard, you go, how are we going to secure this gold? And you'd have had various agencies that have gone, we'll secure your gold for you. Yeah, we'll get a load of man and guns and we'll stand by the vault. And it's the same here, right? And then obviously there's no non-risk of not doing it. So what's the risk of not converting your balance sheet into Bitcoin? Well, you get hyperinflated, it goes to zero. So you lost it anyway. Yeah. So it's not like it. So it's just MicroStrategy have put the use case out there. They've put the playbook out there. And there's a load of companies that will do it for you. They do it for you for a fee. I'm saying 10 million a year, but that's because they're looking after 7 billion. If you just want to give Coinbase, say 5 million of your balance sheet, they'll probably do it for 10 grand a year. It's all going to be in proportion to how much and what level of security you want.
So kind of like talking about this, say, when we hit hyper Bitcoinization and, coin is worth what, 10 million, well, it's worth the equivalent spending power of $10 million, but it's worth God knows how many dollars at that point, because it means that dollars have hyperinflated. How exactly do you see as being able to store Bitcoin? Because it doesn't really seem logical that we'd be able to store it at home, hidden away safely.
Why not?
But you're holding that asset, they kind of go, there's this house here, young guy lives there, it's a big house with jet skis and a lake. He's got Bitcoin, so he break into your house, so there's not that kind of like security. So I mean, you got to
he doesn't look athletic. He could be no pro anything, no pro golfer, no pro biker, no pro footballer.
He looks like a weeb. Bitcoin. He looks like a weeb. Yeah. How do you still see it like being seed phrases and ledgers? Would you think we'll actually have something which would be like halfway house?
I think we will. I think we'll have everything, because to a certain extent, like depending on how much you have, these custodian products exist for individuals as well. There's companies like Casa and even Coinbase, they just call them the high net worth. So if you want to give them, and the problem is obviously you're the second you kind of factor in a third party company, you are trusting them.
Yeah.
And Casa have quite a good model where it's like multi-sig, where they can't steal from you. You still keep the coins, but they have one of the keys. And they do have the whole, if you were ever compromised and you basically had a bullet gun to your head, then you have all the decoy wallets and you just give them a couple of grand and all that stuff. But who knows if that would work? If you are living in a mansion with jet skis in the swimming pool, then yeah, if you phoned up all these companies and gave them all these words and then they got 10 grand at the end of it, they would be thinking, nah, it's bollocks. You've given me the decoy. I'm not a child. Call them up again and give me the royal code because I know you've got more. So look, like obviously the $5 wrench attack is always going to be a problem. It's a problem right now. Everyone knows Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos have billions. Like you could just go around the house and ask them to send you billions and all that kind of stuff. But people don't do it because mainly people are cowards. So I'm not sure. I don't think that the risk is that real. I think in the whole Citadel environment, I think you do need to secure yourself. You do need to have security cameras, good locks on doors and all that kind of stuff. It is potentially, letting people know that you have large amounts of Bitcoin in your property is not smart, which is why, most people that do hold Bitcoin and do have it locally stored, you don't have it physically like in your physical location. You can't get access to it easily. The 24 words are all spread about. So even if the worst was to happen and someone does put a gun to your head, you go, look, I physically can't get it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, so people typically store it in different houses.
Yeah, well, that's what I do, for example. I spread it around different physical locations.
Break it up, break the words up, and yeah.
Yeah, and right now, I couldn't get access to any of it. I do it on purpose. Number one, it's a great hodl strategy. Number two, it's a good security and privacy thing because it's like, yeah, obviously where I live is quite easy to know, but there's other places that I have access to that you might not know as well. But it's stored in there and hidden.
If someone was to also, if you think about it, if they are purposefully attacking you for Bitcoin, knowing that you've got a fair amount to then give, they should also be aware that you would have these strategies in place and to think, actually, even if he gave me all the words and then got it, and then I was to send it to the wallet, like that wallet and that transaction immediately is on the blockchain, you're going to then, not necessarily that it can be reversed, but it can be tracked and then obviously tracked back to that person. And ultimately that person will want to spend it or do something with it. And again, it's all there transparently there. So I think it's a bit of for the true person that does try to ever, attack you. I don't think that they would if they really knew what they were doing.
No, like criminals want to just go for like guaranteed stuff, right? Whenever you're coming after Bitcoin, it's so like not guaranteed because you just don't know what someone's security is. So where the criminals will typically go is they'll go for the people that flex on Instagram, that have big watches, wads of cash, expensive jewelry, and then they know categorically, like you just took a picture of that inside your house, like tonight. I know if I come in at 2 or 3 in the morning that night, I know that jewelry's in there. So I can go in with a bat, threaten you, grab a couple of $100 worth of jewelry, run out, guaranteed 100%. I don't want to stick around and start asking for seed words and try and get you open up a ledger. It's all a bit insecure. So
it's maybe going on a bit of a tangent. I think it's one which is worth discussing at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially as the Bitcoin price climbs.
Yeah, I must admit that's why when we talk about citadels, we talk about walls, guns. You do have to anticipate this. If you do have economic collapse, you got to protect yourself.
Yeah.
We mentioned MicroStrategy briefly then. We got the Gigachad and Dr. Evil, you asked this question a couple of weeks ago. How much Bitcoin does Gigachad have? And he's told us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roughly about
14.
Roughly about $1 billion. So
yeah.
And I think it said how much he bought them at. So it's $9,882 average.
Yeah, which is quite high actually, but he's only been in a year and a bit. So
I was just about to say, for a year and a bit, 17,732 Bitcoin, which has then got an average of 9,882. Because I think when he originally went in, he said it was all 11111. So 11,111. But of course, he's then bought on the dips that has brought his average buying price down. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I think the ones might be relevant to the MicroStrategy one.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's got 114,000 Bitcoin in MicroStrategy, which is worth like the 7 billion. So I think this is that. Because it doesn't quite make sense. Yeah, because I remember that 11, and that was when he did his big buy. But maybe he did actually, that was a big buy, but maybe he got a load at like, I don't know, maybe he was experimenting and he got a load at 3. And then, so that's bringing the 11 down. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right, because I'm just getting confused. This is his personal. So he personally went in and obviously has bought at this 9,000 figure, which then gave him the proof, or the company, the social proof. Geez, Sailor here has lost his mind, has gone and bought 17,000 of this internet money. Maybe we should look into this. And as they've done so, the price has crept up to the 11,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because he said I informed MicroStrategy these holdings before the company decided to buy.
Yeah,
so that's why the company bought at 11, and he's bought on an average of basically 10, which is around the same time, isn't it? Because it really didn't take long from go to 10 to 11, so we're literally talking a couple of weeks difference there.
Yeah.
But it is, he revealed it. He's got $1 billion of his own personal wealth in there.
Ridiculous.
But he only bought that, by the way, for 177 million. So it was a 177 million pound investment. Yeah, I quickly did the maths on it. If that amount of Bitcoin at 10K, basically,
I was just doing it now.
You just add a zero, basically, you add some zeros. So it's $177 million worth of buying. But the price that I did it, whenever I did this calculation, it's that 177 million buy is worth roughly $1 billion now. So he's 5x his money, which in a year, it's all right for this is what we talk about, like money makes money, right? Basically turning 200 million into $1 billion in a year. Like, Jesus, 800 million profit on one fucking trade. It just makes you feel sick.
But he is part of the reason of the upswing on Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. These just him there. Yeah, exactly. Like he holds basically $8 billion worth of Bitcoin between him and his company, and he's the CEO and owns 98% of that company. So, with all intentions, it's like he owns $8 billion worth of it. We're worth $1 trillion now. So,
the life of the rich and famous, hey.
So how many Bitcoins has he got in total? How many has he got in MicroStrategy?
I think it's
114,000.
So 130,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think the Winklevoss twins, they've got 200 and something thousand, 210 or something like that.
Yeah. So they've got 100th of the, roughly about 100th of the supply. Is that right?
Yeah, like 1%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they own a lot of Ethereum as well.
Well, who cares?
That's all good.
Yeah, who cares? But between them and that, obviously they're both going up. They're on that rich list.
Oh yeah, they turned their 100 million that they got from Facebook to go away, plowed into Bitcoin when it was like between $30 and $100. And they're making sailors buy it. What was it? They bought it $100 and sailors bought it 10,000. They bought in at 100x before. They'd 100x when Sailor bought in.
Yeah.
And they were already rich then.
Yeah.
So it turned them from basically being worth 50 million each to now they are multi-billionaires many times over. So, fair play. That Bitcoin buy was pretty smart.
Yeah.
But
and they still own shares in Facebook as well, because the money that they got from Facebook was only a percentage, because they said actually keep the other percentage share in Facebook.
Yeah. I remember that as well, because Mark Zuckerberg screwed him because he basically super valued Facebook at a huge valuation. So therefore the amount of money that their money translated into shares was much smaller.
Yeah.
But it didn't really play them for long, because it didn't take long for Facebook to actually smash the valuation that Mark put on it anyway and go far beyond it. So whilst they talk about it a little bit, like they're a bit bitter. They should have probably like 3 or 4 times more shares than they do have, because Mark bumped the value of the company up just to give them less shares. But it wasn't a bad investment. Let's just say that. I mean, they still probably not quite as good as Bitcoin, but they probably still 100x. So
yeah, exactly. Definitely. I don't think we really got trouble about buying my next yacht.
And about Facebook.
Yeah, these are some quite nicely. This is a meaty topic, I think. Does anyone still have a Facebook account?
No.
Well, technically, I suppose I do because I have an Instagram and I still have WhatsApp. So that
same. Yeah,
I've got WhatsApp. I haven't got anything else.
Yeah. So
do you not need Facebook account for Tinder still?
No. That was one of the things that got me like I had to restart an account because my Facebook login stopped working, so I had to like create a new account.
So we both hold 2 out of the 3 between us, and then obviously WhatsApp as well. But I watched, as I may have said to you guys in the group, the full video of the launch for the metaverse. And because I watched the 2-minute clip and I thought, and then I watched the long one, which was over an hour. And I'm not going to lie, it captured me. And I thought, this is interesting. This looks good. If he pulls it off, gosh, I'm probably going to be drawn in. And I'm like, I don't want to be, but he's only going to do it.
I know, you were jizzing over this in the chat. You were like, oh, it's going to do this. It's going to do that. And look, I'm like a futures guy, and like we were predicting all this stuff in virtual reality freaking 10, 20 years ago, which this is all just late in reality. It's just the technology probably is finally catching up, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe it's coming along. And usually like I would just be thinking this, if the last like 2 or 3 years hadn't happened, I'd be looking at this really positively going, oh, I can't wait for the games, for the experiences. And who knows if going into this little box and maybe that does replace a holiday. Maybe I can actually think I'm in Thailand and freaking, I don't know, who knows? But the last 2 or 3 years have happened and my freaking critical and skeptical brain is just on fucking overdrive. And I'm like, I'm not going in the Matrix, Mark. Fuck off. I'm not
just
going
fucking get in your pod.
I know I'm not even getting a pod. I know I'm going to be liquidated and fed to everyone else. So I'm not putting it on. I don't want this thing. Go away. I know like there's going to be fake money in the metaverse. It's going to be CBDCs.
The glasses for the metaverse. I was ready for it. I was like, yeah, sponsored by Ray-Ban.
I'm going to be the Morpheus going around to your houses with fucking red and blue pills. Going, please take the fucking red pill.
I'll be like, no, I took the fucking orange pill and it ruined my fucking life. Give me the fucking blue.
Exactly.
Plug me back in.
But just think about it, like the ability to walk around, filming your life, capturing it, the virtual reality of, touching things, but then they're not there, but they are there, and the gaming experience.
Whilst you're in your VR suit with your crotch attachment, I'll be out riding my bike.
Imagine this. This is like, although we're all in 3 different locations, we could feel like we are closer to one another as well. I mean, it looked like a great pitch. Like I say, I'm not a Facebook fan. I'm loath to want to then do it, but I think if I have a go and it does what it says on the tin, I'll be like, oh gosh, he's got me.
I think so. I get it for like gaming and meetings, but beyond that, I'm not really sure what else.
Yeah,
like living my life in there and creating a house, and the whole vision is. You buy a plot of land in the metaverse with whatever tokens are in there. You buy your NFTs and you put them on your wall, and you have everything, right? And I go, oh, okay, like I kind of get like a real life Sims, like, but it's a game, right? So like, it's only going to have an interest to a certain amount of people. Like, it isn't going to become the default like human way of living. I don't see that level. And I think most people are going to reject it and know it is what it is, right? It's just a game. But I get the meetings and I get gaming, I think, and too much porn. Like porn will be massive in this. Like if you can make it realistic, fine. But everything else, I'm like, I don't really see what else it's going to do, and I'm not sure really. Like, so for me, like, what impact it's going to have on my life, I think next to zero, really. But
yeah, I'll have clear roads while everyone's in their VR headset with their crotch attachment, so I'm happy.
Yeah,
I think
like
the gaming industry, obviously, that's huge, but maybe they're thinking about the market below. So obviously, I've got kids; they all love and play like Roblox. Like literally, just this weekend, I didn't put it in the chat because I didn't have time to really, into the agenda because I didn't have time to look into it. But it was down all weekend, similar to how Facebook was. Obviously, a couple of Mondays ago now. And I think it probably got hacked, and they're obviously going to say it's the servers. But this Roblox is huge in the amount of kids that play it.
What is it?
And sorry,
what is it?
So it's a series of like various different games that is all within this like one ecosystem, and you name like a type of game, they recreated it within there, and it has Robux, which is a form of money. So you give real money to them buy Robux in there, and then that allows for different skins and allows you to enhance your gaming experience and all that jazz. And there are so many YouTube bloggers that then obviously blog and game and film their games as well. And I see that as one of those things that you will see on Twitch, you'll see on Reddit and all of the various different forums. And I see it kind of spanning into this whole metaverse as well as a way for people to make more money, like through
So is it an
advertising.
internet-based game?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically it's aimed at kids, but you probably get all kinds of adults playing it as well.
You do? Yeah. Fairly addictive. I after literally months and years of the kids saying, "Oh, you got to play it, you got to play it, you got to play it," I'm like, "Go on then," and then I did, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay, I can see why you get the appeal." You know, so it's there.
Is it like on a Switch or is it?
Oh no, it's like on a tablet or an iPad.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can have it on your phone as well.
And I'm sure that's all this stuff needs, right? Because I don't think virtual reality hasn't taken off in 20 years. No. So it needs its viral game that all the kids just go, this game only works in VR. And if Facebook are the ones that create it and put it into this metaverse, then that'll probably be the catalyst. Who knows? Might be porn is the catalyst. The porn is usually the thing that gets everywhere first and drives people. That drives and that builds the foundation of it, and then you build on top of it. Who knows? It did it for DVDs, it did it for the internet. Maybe it does it for VR. Who knows? But do any of you like the memes? I've loved the memes about all this.
I love the memes.
There's a great tweet where someone posted a picture of Mark Zuckerberg. You know, he's outside of the new Facebook sign, but it says Meta now, and his little alien face outside it. And someone tweeted that photo and said, "For every 10 likes, I'll make his forehead bigger." And this tweet got like 100,000 likes. So there's just like so many pictures of his forehead going up and up and up. In the end, his forehead was bursting through the ozone layer, going around planets. It was just epic. I loved it, and like
you would have thought as well for his emoji character, they would have still like sorted his hair out. For a multi-billionaire, he needs a good haircut.
Well, yeah, I think that's almost his brand now, isn't it? That he just looks bad.
Yeah, it is like he's done it himself, and he's not realised that we're no longer in lockdown, and you can go to a barber's.
Yeah, but it's a weird one. I think it's going to happen anyway. Virtual reality is going to happen. The metaverse is going to happen in some shape or form. I'm just
One thing, though, I do like about it, which I think, as I said again in the group, is there will be some form of digital money. As I mentioned, in Roblox, you've got Robux. And essentially, I think that may lead people to think, okay, if we're going to exchange things, if we're going to buy stuff within the metaverse, we're using digital money, back to Bitcoin as always. Maybe we should transact in Bitcoin over the Lightning Network within it. And that would be good because it would bring, I think their user base is like 2.5 billion people into it. And just they don't need to really know how it works and get into the technical capabilities of it, but just an appreciation of, okay, right, if I'm in the metaverse, I use Bitcoin or some other form of cryptocurrency. If it's not Bitcoin, but then they might then think, okay, let me go back to that original coin because this one's no longer worth much.
That is the problem with Facebook owning this, because we know that Facebook are owned by the US government. I don't think there's any chance that Bitcoin becomes a currency inside this metaverse. It's going to be some type of shitcoin or a bank coin.
Or the American USD.
Yeah.
Doink rises.
Maybe not on this one, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It could be the American equivalent of, their e-coin.
Yeah. What we need is a Bitcoin funded version of this. So a VR platform that does have Bitcoin and Lightning integrated is default. Because the thing is, if Facebook do open source anything, make it good, make you able to build apps and stuff on it, then it could be good because you can build Facebook apps in there. But I have a very strong feeling around this. Whenever a company like Facebook do it, it's just as Apple do. It's a walled garden. Essentially, It's an approval process, and Bitcoin apps were banned on Apple for years. And I'm still amazed that Bitcoin apps are allowed on Apple. I really am.
Yeah.
It'd be very easy to really stunt Bitcoin's progress by just banning it. But weirdly, Coinbase at the moment is number one on the App Store, and has been for the last couple of weeks. It's beating all the huge apps like TikTok, Facebook, all the real big ones, Snapchat. It's right up there. It's been in the top 5. And weirdly, actually, there's a story in here actually where 2 of the top 5 are exchanges. It is, I've forgotten which other one. Who's number 5? Is it Gemini?
Gemini. Yeah,
Gemini
2 of
number
the top 5 app downloads in the US. Ahead of Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, crypto.com. It's Coinbase.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Now being number 1 and number 5 on those types of lists where you just know that's millions of downloads. And that means that and who's driving those downloads, right, in these types of charts? That is because all the people like us already have our apps, right? We don't affect the top 5. This is the new generation that are getting their phones for the first time and they're downloading their first set of apps. Kids are downloading their social media and then they're downloading a crypto exchange.
They're probably buying shit coins, so that's the problem.
Yeah, they definitely are. Because I did actually see in the if you actually Google or have a look on the App Store for Coinbase now, it has Coinbase buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Shiba.
Yes,
Shiba literally makes the top 3. What the fuck? We know that it's a scam coin. I
thought Doge would have been ahead of that.
Man,
Shiba's the new Doge.
Man, you were a bit fucking reminiscent with your fucking crystal ball all these weeks talking about Shiba. It's the one that moved.
I think I mentioned it once. Everyone knows that I'm a dink donk man.
You mentioned it at least twice. At least twice it came up. But
I mentioned dink donk multiple times every episode. You don't pull me up about that.
I know, but we all love dink doink. That only went down. Shiba went up, so people actually might think we're pumping that one.
The funny thing is, though, as well, I've seen on the likes of Snapchat that they advertise Coinbase within there. It's literally at the top of the newsreel, and so it talks about just make an account within a couple of minutes and start trading immediately. So I think they've cottoned on how to get to the top. So when you're in one of these popular other apps, you can just go straight through and buy on there as well.
So there'll be a lot of shit coins having big moons.
But I wonder how they get around, like, some of these are obviously like marketed to teens. Is it not illegal to open up an account with Coinbase or
under
crypto.com?
18s.
Yeah, for under 18.
You can't trade if you're under 18. So
yeah,
they do have to go through like your AML and age verification. So they have to go through documentation because you think it is data and documents for Coinbase.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more people, university, young adults who they're targeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the good thing is, I think they do go on there. Probably, I think they are looking to YOLO, but I do think like I've been hit up by 3 different distant relatives this week, and all 3 I've asked about Bitcoin, and then straight after in the same message, of course, they go, and other coins.
And other coins.
What are the other coins?
They've never actually mentioned one to me actually before. Actually, no, Ethereum. Actually, yeah, it's Ethereum, Doge, and Shiba. They're the 3, which is, it's just they're the 3 that
they do realize that Dogecoin is a meme coin. It was invented.
They don't know. I don't think people get what that means.
They just know the number went up, and Shiba is a copy of Doge, and somehow Shiba.
It's built on different tech, isn't it? Because Doge was built on altered Bitcoin code or something like that, whereas Shiba is built on altered Ethereum code, isn't it?
All right, I don't even know.
Something like that, but I think that's a key difference.
Yeah, so they literally have no clue. They don't know the basics about Bitcoin. Like if you ask them what a blockchain is, they wouldn't know. If I asked them how many Bitcoin are there, if I asked them who invented Bitcoin, they wouldn't know. So, but weirdly, I've had 3 people hit me up.
It was Craig Wright, wasn't it?
Craig Wright, yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Like 3 people have hit me up. They've all talked about the same thing. But they all, even though they fundamentally want to kind of, they think they want to gamble, they go, but I'm not sure. I think they might be scams, or aren't they memes? And so they kind of have those keywords in their head. And it's like, yeah, you're right. If you really want to do loads of research and you want to try and get involved in a pump and dump and time it, good luck. But if you just want to be safe because you're busy, you got a family, just DCA into Bitcoin every month. Nice and safe, number go up. It's the solid one. And they're like, oh, but are there enough gains? And then I just go, well, is 100x your money enough gains? We're at 50K now. We're going to 5 million. Is that enough for you? If it isn't, fuck off. Start wasting my time. Go away.
Yeah.
And then pretty much like all 3 kind of like settle down. But like, so just this, like seeing the story going, oh, Coinbase and Gemini are in the top 5. I'm like, I'm seeing it direct. I've had the last year, I've had virtually like no one hit me up. Everyone that knows about Bitcoin has been in for ages and they've just gone on to buy. This is the 2017 crowd that were burnt last time. They're back and they're hitting me up. And some people are going, where do I sign up? And I tell them like Coinbase, Gemini. They go to these sites. They're like, oh, I've got an account. And they've forgotten, like they've literally forgotten, and they're re-logging in, they're re-verifying themselves. And I think this is all early signs of a fucking pump, boys. We're going to 750.
So kind of like to trace this one back, because at different times there's been different reasons for a pump. So 2017, what would you say was the reason for that pump?
Weirdly, it was all rumors around the ETF that bizarrely got declined.
Wow.
So that was a bit of publicity which got it all going. And then we go to 2020 to 21. It's a lockdown, isn't it? You've had the failing Bitcoin. More people bought into Bitcoin, then it became public, and more people bought into Bitcoin and crypto.
And also the money printer went burr.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the second point to the lockdown. So we've had basically publicity, which has spun it up. And then this second one is another round of printing, all kinds of issues. Inflation's coming to a head. We are seeing the 20% or in the UK. I don't know what they're seeing in the US, possibly more because they've printed more. And this is kind of like Bitcoiners and crypto monkeys are just like buying more crypto. So they've kind of gone, oh shit, fiat's worthless. We just need to put our money into crypto. And then it's once again spun up. And you've also had a lot of activity like the NFTs as well.
Yeah.
No,
I think also, go on, mate.
I think 2017 was pretty much 100% retail FOMO, and all around Bitcoin being accepted by the traditional financial system, which that's what an ETF represented. Like if we can get an ETF, it means, wow, Bitcoin has gone from being crazy magic internet money only for drug dealers and crazy people to, oh, wow, it's actually accepted, and basically crossing the chasm from being an innovation to mainstream. And even though we didn't make it, bizarrely, what everyone ended up analyzing, and a lot of very smart people from finance came in, they analyzed Bitcoin independently and went, even though this didn't pass the ETF, it does pass my test. This is more sound money than what we have. So that's why the 2017 spike went crazy. And my kind of evolution to where we are today in like 4 years later would just be purely, again, more retail FOMO, because we're getting more people like you guys are in, for example, this time round. You weren't in before. It took you 4 years to kind of have the pill drop. So there's more retail coming in. But now we've got corporate FOMO, and we've got country FOMO.
Yeah.
We've got people like MicroStrategy and Twitter, and we've got El Salvador. So
I reckon there's more going on behind the scenes. It can't just be El Salvador.
Yeah,
I'd imagine countries are making their way to it. We're mini sailors, basically. 2020 we went in with Sailor, not just because of Sailor, but but also I would say that there's so much more information available to people. Like going on, I am called So Never Look for a reason, but going on Coinbase. The amount of literature of education that's there for people if they really want to get to know it, not about loop ring or Dink Doink or Polkadot or anything like that, but about true, what is a blockchain? How do you run your own node, and how do you secure yourself with a hot wallet, a cold storage wallet? It's all there. Nice and easy.
I haven't even looked at that section. I just noticed it now. Just open it up and had a quick look. That's pretty cool. I'll actually have to have a look through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think there's things which I don't know, which I need to know.
Yeah.
Which I should know.
Things like, where was it? Bitcoin lessons.
Merch. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I think you're right though. Yeah, there's so much. Everything's improved the last 4 years. Yeah. The books, the podcasts, the articles. So it's everything just progressed, doesn't it? And I think to a certain extent, like all the FUD, like the FUD around it being magic internet money just for drug dealers, that's so far gone. Like that was still genuinely people would use that as a way to disparage Bitcoin 4 years ago. Now no one even mentions that now because they just know it's nonsense.
And it's also like fear, isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't want to be associated with that. And everyone would just back away and be like, whatever it is, yeah, great, you can make fantastic gains, but that's not for me, thanks. But we've got past that. We're on to the realism of, okay, it's a true phenomenon, and everybody that is anybody has already done the research to kind of make sure, I'm in the right place here.
Just going to say, what year was the Bitcoin standard written? Was it 18 or 17?
I'm going to say 18.
Yeah, I think it was 18.
I think that's a big one for me. Because I take on information through reading books. Ultimately, it's not YouTube for me; it's books. So when that one kind of emerged, but it took me a couple of years to find that.
Yeah, I think never trust your friends. Never trust us.
Well, why would I trust Mad Gaz?
I think it's a good point, because I must admit, I got Bitcoin, but there was some holes in my kind of understanding about the history of money, and I think the Bitcoin standard filled those holes, and just like any slight thing. So I was very certain about probably the last say 100 years. I was pretty good on that, but what I didn't realize is I need to go further back to really get it. And that's what the Bitcoin standard did for me. It went, no, you need to go back like 2,000 years, really go back to seashells and stones. and learn upwards from there. And I'm like, oh my God, then all the little pieces that didn't quite click, bang. I was just like, oh my God, I already was all in, but I'm like, thank God now it's really reaffirmed my decision to do that, because holy hell, Saifedean just put it in such brilliant words and so simple to understand. So.
Are you both reading the Fiat Standard, or have you not purchased that yet?
I haven't bought it yet.
I haven't bought it yet. 8th of June 2018 is the Bitcoin Standard.
Yeah, I think Saifedean said it comes out in November, didn't he? Have you got yours yet? Have you posted it now?
I've got the digital version, so I'm reading it on my Kindle, and he's due to post it pretty soon. So they've asked me for some details to post it out. So I'm reading the kind of like second to last draft on my Kindle.
You're good?
It seems fairly good. I'm about a quarter of the way through it at the moment. It's just going through like the ridiculousness of fiat. But he said he'd try and be constructive of it, but I just don't think he's being constructive one bit, because he just can't help himself.
Oh, I know. He's just going to constantly be like emotional and just slate it, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Got to love him.
He's got more and more extreme. When I first found Saifedean, he was at a conference and he was speaking, and he was like, "Oh, putting your life savings in Bitcoin, like that's reckless. This is an experiment. You know, you just put a little bit in." And that was Saifedean in the early days. He was very much like still a kind of a professor of the whole world, and very much, you know, still believed in some of it. And then just watching his evolution into a toxic Bitcoin maximalist has just been epic. Now, throw anything that isn't Bitcoin at him, he's just like, fuck off. No. And it's like, he was so like much more measured. He was obviously comes from a university background. He's used to teaching students and answering and having like weird questions asked and answering diplomatically. Now he's just like full out fucking fuck off on Twitter. Like anyone.
Well, I think that's what I got introduced to, because I started using Twitter. I was following you. You obviously liked or retweeted or replied to his comment, and I started following him. And that's kind of like where my slippery slope went. And then I went, oh, he's got a book. I'll put that on my Kindle list, and I didn't get around to reading it for a few months. But when I read it, I understand various elements of Bitcoin, but it was like those bits about money. What's happened there? It's happened again. It's happened again. It's happened again, just in different forms. And you just like going, oh God.
For me, it was a combination of the two of, and I'm not just saying this, but going through Bitcoin lessons and the book, because I'd done the lessons and then the book compounded everything from the lessons, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. So
I go, oh shit, Dr. 10%'s in.
and that as well. Yeah, it was the triangle offense on me took me down.
I've asked a friend just that, he's turned a little bit toxic lately about Bitcoin.
Nice.
And so I dropped him a message to work with him, just saying, so what actually got you into Bitcoin? And I am wondering whether it was me again, because I'm going, is everyone just looking at me going, you're very cautious, well, look at what you do.
Yeah. Well, I had, funnily enough, as you mentioned, the family members, I had a really good friend message me about, like, what should I do? Everybody's going crazy that my company's share price has gone from £6 to £7, which technically is really good, because a 16% increase in traditional finance is like, woohoo, you know, and we're like, that's old. That's like so slow. 16%
one day in
swings.
Bitcoin, man.
One day. Exactly. So we're like,
when we've had inflation of over 20%.
That's transitory. Don't worry.
Yeah, because actually a good point. In reality, his share price has gone down.
Yeah.
In real terms.
Yeah, in real terms, you're absolutely right. And so I said to him, so what you got to think is, will you get those same gains if you were to leave the money in the company shares or come over into the Bitcoin world? And he's always kind of like teetered on the edge. And I think, yeah, he's getting there.
You just got to start them off slow. I find the number one thing I have to do with people is get them off zero.
Yeah.
Get them signed up, and a lot of people will sign up and then do fucking nothing, right? They won't attach their bank account to it.
No deposit. Yeah.
They won't send it. So get them to sign up, and then I leave them for a week or two, and I go, and actually the first thing I actually do is go, have you done the shitcoin lessons? They're like, what are they? I'm like, right. So you haven't even opened the app up properly. Do the shitcoin lessons, and you can earn £20 of free Bitcoin just like that. And that suddenly they get excited. They've got, oh my God, I got a balance. And once they have a little balance, the balance starts going up and down. And then they're in. They're like, I earned 20 quid. It's now worth 24. What's this? Like, where's the £4 come from? They literally ask you questions like, where did the £4 come from? And it's like, that's what investing is, mate. When you had £20 of Bitcoin, the price went up by 20%. That now means you have 20% more money. They're like, so what happens if I put £1,000 in? They're like, yeah, you would have earned £200. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So many people have not even done investing.
Yeah. That's a whole tale in itself as well. And I didn't link it in the agenda, but from my guy Patrick Bet-David, he interviewed a Wall Street trader that also worked alongside Jordan Belfort, but he traded on behalf of the mafia. And it was a really good interview because this guy is super sharp, as you would expect, knew the dates down to a T and the timing and all of the trades and the IPOs. And he was just like, if there was money to be made, great. But people, he said, people automatically think I need to be in front of the computer and be watching it. And that just puts people off straight away.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I've gone for a different approach to Mr. All-In with someone. I broke it to him, but basically he's getting screwed by inflation. House prices, wage, cars, anything which he wants to buy, he's getting devalued every year. And when they do print a record amount, he gets screwed even more. And he said that he's going to read the Bitcoin standard as a result. So I've actually just messaged him now because I forgot, and see if he's read it and see if he's got off zero.
Yeah,
but awesome. We are basically, I feel like I am turning into a Mormon.
Yeah.
Going around knocking on those doors. Have you found our Lord?
Yeah, let me introduce you to this pamphlet. It's called the Bitcoin Standard. Within it, you'll find various different elements of your life. Yeah.
And it is bad, isn't it? Because you just basically go, kind of, what's wrong with your life? And then they can say it and go, instead of the Lord fixes that, it's Bitcoin fixes that. And you go, but I'm serious. Bitcoin actually does fix that. Bear with me. And you're like, I've lost you, haven't I? Like you just, but it is tough. I must admit, like, I think, especially with relatives, like when they come to you and they're just going, I just want to make my first investment. I really do struggle to start talking about inflation and I'll read this book. I try and send them my app because I think it's a little bit more lightweight. And then if they get through a couple of lessons in the app, then that's almost like the training ground to then go, right, now listen to this podcast and maybe buy the book. But it's tough. The newbie stuff is going to be tough. But look, like we said before, you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. So if you ain't willing to put in the work now, you're going to pay more. So it is what it is.
Also goes on as well, because in this day and age, you've got a lot of noobs trading and you've got a lot of trading apps. And I think technology has obviously helped people in order to get an understanding of what trading is, even though it might not necessarily be real trading. So I think we talked about where I think it was on last week's show where there's 1 million people waiting to withdraw from Robinhood. But whether or not they're actually withdrawing anything, that will be the real key, won't it? To kind of understand, not your cheese, not your keys sort of thing. And it might be a harsh lesson for them, but it will guide them to then think, okay, I need to do a little bit more research, because no one wants to do the hard work. Everyone wants the easy path, but that hard path, no one really wants to walk.
Yeah, I think it's fair, but I think if you can get it down into someone's head how screwed they are in 10 minutes around inflation, I think that's just the killer. I did not understand it till the lockdown when I went, what the fuck are they doing? Where's the money coming from? And that's when it dawned upon me. I was just like, this isn't real. This is made up money.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to understand. Like, if people haven't got it now, then there's something that they are struggling and they're believing the government lies. But, you know, there's a number of assets which don't lie.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I'm amazed at how many people still believe the government lies, because I literally, it was only, I think, yesterday or the day before, I was having a big debate on Reddit about government spending. And basically my argument...
Which subreddit?
I'm not sure.
You weren't in something like UK politics, were you?
No,
right fucking morons.
I avoid all the politics one. I think it was either in science or something else. But basically, the main point was that we were debating was, I was saying, like, why would they be printing all this money? Because they're basically profiteering off it. They're sending it to their third-party contractors. All the money ends up in the stock market, and the people get rich. This guy was going, no, they don't. The governments have never been poorer. They're hugely in debt. They absolutely do not want this situation. And when you looked at the votes on my comment, on his comment, there was about a thread of about 6 or 7 comments on this, all just on that topic pretty much, just us doubling down on our positions. I was in the negative by at least 20 or 30 votes on every comment. He was in the plus 10 or 20 votes. So basically, I looked like the idiot. I was being told I was wrong. So the majority...
that comes across really badly. That's trickled down at economics. I sent it to the group earlier. It's that whole kind of point, just map it out like what you think is it's going to flow down to the bottom, and it's just the cup at the top gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and barely any gets out to the cups below. And that's fundamentally what you're talking about. And people just do not see it, but the fact is that we've got record amounts of billionaires. We're getting close to having trillionaires. So how do you think that's happened?
And like these governments, they say they're in debt. What does it mean? Like their debt keeps getting bigger. Like, it's not a debt if you have no intention of paying it back.
And it's also not a debt if you actually own the people who you are in debt to.
it's like, exactly. It's like the bank loans the money to the government, but the government and the bank are the same thing. You're lending money off yourself. It doesn't count. You never call in your own debt. It's dumb. But literally, but if you listen to the economic shows that are on the news, you would believe what this guy was telling me, that the government's lending money and then owning interest on it is bad, and they are going to have real trouble paying this back over generations. And you're like, oh, right, you have to really plan this all stuff out. It's like, no, they don't plan it out. It's just an excuse to tax you more, and the money printer goes burr faster.
They just spend what they want on who they want, give it to whoever they want, because they can. I mean, a simple way of looking at it, of your personal interest, is always around property. So have properties stayed the same price for you?
No.
Where are all the property ownership going towards?
The huge corporate billionaire companies.
Yeah, the rich, either individuals, very rich individuals,
Vanguard and BlackRock,
or going towards investment companies. And that's literally the key here. And people don't understand that, then they've got a real problem.
But it's also because it's not publicized in the mainstream media that they would actually watch and listen. So for us, reading the Bitcoin Standard, that isn't on, even though it's on Amazon's bestsellers, it's on no one's, in terms of like the average Joe blog's bestseller. Like, to get through that, you really do have to have some form of an appreciation of financial literacy, I think, or some sort of like history bug within you to think, actually, I'm going to read it and get through it. Otherwise, you're turning off immediately.
I think it's very well written. I think literally, as long as you start that book, you'd finish it, or you'd certainly get very far.
You've got to have an interest in it. I think you've got to think from the mind of the average pleb, which we once were. You've got to have an interest in it.
Yeah.
But,
You do.
but I think
Most people don't read investment books, man. Most people don't.
People don't read.
I
Even
suppose.
if people don't listen to, even though like people say, okay, I don't read, I'll listen to an audio book. People don't listen to audio books. You know,
Because
people
they'll
don't
be doing
listen
stuff whilst they're listening.
Exactly.
Why
I
we've got
wanted to bring
TikTok, like 6-second videos is where we're at now.
exactly. I
Is
wanted
that-
to bring up this one guy called Tom Bilyeu because he has a show on YouTube, and his whole kind of way that he became like really famous and also very rich is between him and his wife, they created a company called Quest Nutrition. So it's Bilyeu, Thomas Bilyeu. And he openly said that for all these years, until he actually, until about last year, he did not know anything about investing whatsoever. And this guy is like a multi-millionaire, and just didn't do anything whatsoever. He said, as long as I feel as though I'm making enough money in the bank and I've got money that's coming in, I'm okay. And since then, he's had a lot of guests in the crypto space, and then started looking into Bitcoin and investing in Bitcoin because it's just like, oh my God, like I've been sleepwalking essentially.
Yeah. Well, on the side of inflation and trying to get people to like click into it, we've got a story here, haven't we, about Disneyland?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
And here it is. This is what is it? The most expensive single day ticket in the year 2000 was $40.
Yeah.
That same ticket today costs $164. So it's 4x. So if we track like typical inflation, and this is before the craziness of the last couple of years, we should double every 15. And so it's been, 21 years since this? So we should have doubled and a little bit more. So in reality, that $40 ticket should be worth about $100. That'd have been a double and a bit, between $90 and $100. It hasn't. It's 4x, which is probably in reality a truer reflection on inflation.
Correct.
So this is scary, right? This is, unless you've had a 4 times pay increase in the last 20 years, then that means you've taken a pay cut, because that's how much it's going to cost you to get into Disneyland.
I love the comment. We don't link to MLM scammer content. Just seeing that,
but it's only been 8% in the last year.
I know. I'm sorry, whoever that Patrick guy is, like, I don't fucking like the guy.
I love it. Yeah, but for the average person or the average family, not even person, because you're not just going to go to Disneyland by yourself typically. How do they afford?
And in reality, the truth is they won't be able to.
Correct.
That's the sad reality of inflation, right? It's a very like creepy thing that gets us. And ever since 1971, they've been doing this. And since the year 2000, they really started to fire up the money printer. It's really got out of control. Yeah. And Disneyland, I must admit, I actually surprised at $40 or even $164 per ticket now. That actually, in my head, seems cheap, because this seems to be like a trip of a lifetime that people do. But I guess it's because people are buying like week passes and stuff, and also flights and all that type of stuff, and they're staying over in hotels. This is just a day pass. So
yeah,
I guess
say times that by 3-4 days, times it by a family of 4. So you've got sorry, how much did we say it was? $168?
$164 per person.
Yeah, for one day.
So you're seeing about $640 per day for a family of 4, times by 4 days. So 2,400, add on your accommodation, add on your flights. You're looking at somewhere between 5 and 10 grand for a holiday.
Yeah. Add on all of the add-ons of the food. Like, they were talking, no lie, about $18 nuggets. and then also the kids are going to want something.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to buy them that, got to get them this, and so on. The parking, it all adds up.
Got to get a picture of Mickey Mouse.
Naturally.
Yeah.
That's just insane. Like, I have heard people talking about like 20 grand trips to Florida and stuff. And I'm just like, if my wife said, "Oh, I want to spend this on a trip to Florida for the kids," I'd be like, "Fuck off." 20 grand, you know, is a massive chunk out of retirement funds.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to go twice, and this was, you know, years back, so pre-inflation, and yeah, I think, wow, I don't know how the average person does it now.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And it's just going to get worse.
Yeah,
and eventually these kind of things are just going to be only for the super rich, because this can't continue, right? If this goes up another 400% in the next 20 years, like everybody is out. Unless you're literally the equivalent of a millionaire, you can't go Disneyland now.
No.
So if we're talking like $5,000 to $10,000 holiday, then times by 4 again, so 20 to 40 grand. You know, like I said, I've heard of like 20 grand holidays to Florida put up to 80 grand. So yeah, we're completely out. But you say it's only for the rich. I think by that point it's broken, because Disney doesn't just mean, oh yeah, you only have like 10 families in. They need thousands of families in there each day to keep it operating. So by that point it's broken.
Guess what? Don't worry, you'll have the metaverse, and Disneyland will be in there, and the price will stay at $164 in there.
Correct.
You can ride on and get your picture with Mickey Mouse sat with your tube in your side, fucking VR headset plugged on.
While you're riding Mickey Mouse with your crotch attachments, I'll be happy not being in there.
I can literally guarantee that will be the next thing.
Yeah,
they will dumb it down to a point where we know you can't afford to come anymore. Plus, it's dangerous because there's a pandemic on. So, for $164 each, you can experience it through your headset, through the metaverse, and people will go, "Okay, that'll be the new thing."
Yeah. So you can either experience it in virtual reality or in, obviously, in physical life, but you're still paying the same.
Yeah. And
obviously, crazy.
And for them, it's 100% profit then, because once you've built it, like, it's done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's broken by the point which it inflates further. You know, like, and we're seeing this pinch point moment. It's just, at what point does it snap?
Well, do you think also as well, when it gets to this stage, the average person then starts to kick off and say, well, hold on here, like, this isn't what it should be. Back in the day, I used to only pay 40, and then it starts to build a little bit of momentum.
It's affordability, and it's how much people are willing to get into debt. So have you seen, I think it's across Twitter, where Klarna have partnered with Domino's.
Oh gosh.
They're taking out debt to order a pizza.
Yeah, so, you know, once it's what people accept. Because if people start ordering a Domino's through Klarna, then that's, you know, they're a fucking moron. You know, that is a non-essential food. Like, literally, you can make a pizza yourself for £1. You know, it's literally flour, water, some cheese, some tinned tomatoes, and oregano. That is how you can make a cheese pizza, and it'll take you an hour.
We'll just go and get a ready-made one for like £2, like from the supermarket.
Well, yeah, you can do that as well, or you can pay £16 for Domino's, which you can't afford for some reason.
Yeah, especially if you're taking out a loan to get a pizza, then you really are.
But that's it. Like, will people go, "Oh, it's a trip of a lifetime. I'll take this 20 grand loan to go to Disney."
Of course they will.
But it's at what point, you know, is it so out of line with earnings that they go, "Oh, it's a 60 grand loan. I can't afford this."
Yeah, well, I hate to say it, like, if you go back to our grandparents' era and you say to them, "Oh, I'm taking out a 300 grand loan on a house that's going to take me till 65 until I pay it off," they would say we were fucking nuts. No one's going to do that. No one takes out a loan more than 10 or 20K that you can pay off within a decade. Anything else is reckless, and it just creeps.
So right.
It creeps. It just gets bigger and bigger slowly over time. And I think you're spot on. Eventually, it will be, you're taking out a loan to order a takeaway. And we see that as crazy fast forward 10 years, who knows? Everyone might just be like, oh yeah, of course you put your pizza on your Klarna account. Why wouldn't you? Like, no one can afford pizza.
But then when does anything ever get paid back?
No,
yeah, that's my point. By the point which you can't afford a pizza,
yeah,
surely it's broken. It's
that's welcome to communism, then, isn't it? That's just plug into the matrix and you're useless. And we basically breed you out. That's depopulation.
End up in
the Great Reset.
Salvador before then.
The Great Reset. It's when they don't need you. You're just a waste of resources. We'd rather just switch you off, please. Get in the matrix and we'll switch you off.
Yeah.
It's your pod.
You'll be shunned.
Where do you want to go from Disneyland?
The happiest place. That's kind of left me like in the saddest place. Talking about the happiest place on earth.
It's kind of a bit of a shitcoin, but you got under a general one. Wash trading NFTs for 500 million to fake demand.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. You put this one in, so never luck. But then it was also in there. I think you put a video in there, and I already had the article here, but it's the same story.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But yeah, this is classic wash trading, right? This is how you pump NFTs. I think there's a lot of NFTs that have done exactly this. This guy just got caught doing it. So what's the best way of making people think that your random JPEG is worth a lot of money? You will just buy it off yourself. And this guy did, and he's just bought it. And I think the reason why he got caught is that he did it for such a stupid amount of money. He did it for 532 million. So he listed his NFT for 532 million, sold it, and then bought it off himself. And he didn't even have the money himself. You actually need to go to other shitcoins, lend it off their platform, take out a load of loans for a very small amount of time, literally just use that money very quickly to wash it through an NFT platform. The second it comes out the other side, pay the loans back off. Now it looks like he is in ownership of a $500 million NFT. So just relists it for $1 billion. And now suddenly it's like, oh, right, you're only buying that for 2x what the last buy price was. It actually looks in line. Like, who knows? Maybe someone would have been stupid enough to buy $1 billion NFT. But unfortunately, this guy's got massively found out, and everyone's just tracked him on the blockchain and gone, this is the same guy just passing the same amount of money. It's a good plan, but he got caught.
Yeah, but it's a good plan, but also like a risky one with the amount of money that he was playing with across three different companies and sources. He's borrowed the equal amount of $532 million. Like, whew.
Was it so? We're talking about him trying to scam to make it look like it's worth more.
Yeah.
Could it also be hiding a fact that it may be money laundering?
Yeah. Also that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's just NFTs and the fucking idiots surrounding them.
It's also tax evasion, by the way, because this is like we brought this up before.
Yes.
So if he can, say he's made 500 million this year. If he buys a piece of art, then that is now a cost to his business. So that's a sunk cost. So he can then claim he spent 500 million on art for his business. That's a cost. He now doesn't need to be taxed on that 500 million, which at 20% or maybe even higher, that could be 100 or 200 million worth of tax he owes. But if he goes, no, we bought art this year, then even though he bought off himself, it would save him 100 million in tax revenue.
I wonder if it's just some idiot who's just trying to drum up the price and he's going to end up in the whole world of paying through tax.
Yeah.
Look, well, an idiotic or an idiot plan, but probably not so much of an idiot himself.
Yeah, it's hard to
pretty
tell.
Smart.
He'll be
how many layers this goes through.
Yeah.
I just know, I categorically know that loads of NFTs have been bidded up exactly like this. This is like the early days of eBay, right? Where I list my laptop and I get you to bid on it. And then what you hope in the little fake bidding war that we've created, that a real bidder accidentally comes in. And once we just keep outbidding him trying to guess how high can we get this guy, and then just try and leave him with the bag. And he thinks he won a competitive auction. In reality, he was bidding against us three. And if any of us three won the auction, we just relist the item and go again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening in NFTs, but there's just no regulation.
It's called shell bidding. And because funnily enough, I've been an eBay since 2002. So I kind of know all of the kind of scams and obviously how it's actually got a lot better over the years. And, even down to like their customer service now is like really good and, 24/7 and gets resolved super quick. But yeah, you're absolutely right. These are the lawless days when you can do whatever you want and get away with it, because in a way, we talk about regulation, but there is no regulation here. So happy days. Going back to that guy that was also trading for the mafia in the late 80s, early 90s, he said at that time I think when he first started trading, he knew of the fact that there were only 4 billionaires in the world at that time. So, the word billionaire is banded around like nothing these days. And last count, if I remember rightly, there was like something about 2,400 and something billionaires. I'm sure that number's increased slightly, maybe to 2,500, but that's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Waiting for the trillionaires and loads of trillionaires to happen.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows how devalued you are when you put yourself in relation to the amount of billionaires previously and millionaires even.
Yeah. And it's just general house prices, right? It just brings it down to reality, doesn't it? Like, it's just if you've got £1 million now, I remember growing up, if you had £1 million, you were super rich. Your entire life was completely sorted. Now, you give someone £1 million, it's like you can get once you paid your taxes on that £1 million, you get an average family home, an average family car, and then live on 30 grand a year and be average all the way. Like, you are not rich at £1 million. Now it's 10 million. You got a 10x it. We've literally gone up by 10x in the last 30 years, I would say.
I suppose going to the next topic, talking about billionaires, Elon and his comment to the UN. So they've had all this.
He loves entering our agenda every week. Elon, he does something to creep in there.
We've had all this shit about the climate crisis this week, and we've also had stuff about world hunger. And I think it was some UN officials saying if Elon gave, what percentage was it, 1/10 or something like that of his wealth? Or
no, it was like 1/10 of the gains that he's made this year or something.
Yeah, if he gave 1/10 of his gains, then he could solve world hunger.
6 billion.
And guess who replied?
Elon.
Elon replied, and he said if they can give clear and transparent accounting on how it would solve world hunger, he would sell his shares and do that because it'd be worthwhile. So the person clarified with him that it wouldn't solve world hunger, but a one-time donation to save 42 million lives during this unprecedented hunger crisis. But how long for is your kind of next question. So it's just kind of like fallen over. And I think that's gone away. Elon's made an absolute fool of that person and the UN.
Oh man, have you seen how it's got carried on the last couple of days as well? Because he was waiting for the open and transparent accounting. Nothing happened. So Elon then tweets an article that lists UN representatives having asked for basically sexual favors from African kids in exchange for aid. And he's gone, any comments on this? Because there's an open court case against the UN. It was mass. Apparently this was just like, this isn't a one-off like rogue event. And he tweets the article to the head of the UN. And it's just Elon all over, right? He exposes, this is like literally the fiat system. Everything is wrong with it, right? They target all their hate at someone like Elon, who's trying to just change the world in his own way. and they drag him into the dirt and go, he's why people are starving. He comes back and goes, you know what? You want 6 billion? That's what you want? Fine, you can fucking have it. But you got to prove that it gets to the people. And then they go quiet because they can't do open, transparent accounting because they steal all the money and fucking none of it gets down to who needs it.
Yeah, so I'd say that 42 million people, it's probably a fiver a pop, so it's 200 million. So where's most of a 6 billion gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that the head of the UN gets paid a couple million a year just to do whatever. And then, yeah, and literally their own people are accused of sexually exploiting the people they're supposed to be helping. And there's just crickets. You know, Elon goes, I'll help you, but I want open accounting. And by the way, there's a really big scandal of you abusing the people you're supposed to be helping. What about comments on this? You've called me out. I'm calling you out. Crickets. It's like, so the fiat world is so fucked.
Yeah. So I remember reading something similar about Oxfam, that they've been doing the same, like holding back aid and using it with sexual favors. Well, it just sounds horrendous.
Yeah, it is. I find it's nice to actually see, and I say nice. It's fucking beautiful to see people like Elon calling them out, and then the crickets. We need more of these types of individuals rather than towing the line and actually being super PC with their pronouns, he, she, him, her, and just telling it like it is. And
these are the problems.
And I think that is the problem. Exactly that. These are the problems because everybody's so worried about what to say in cancel culture. We actually don't get down to the truth. And the truth is these people won't get the money. The governments will steal it.
Going on a bit of a tangent about the climate, what is it? COP26 is it called this week? So you've seen all the stuff, we need to do this, and Prince Charles is now encouraging military action. But anyway, that's an even bigger tangent. So we've seen how did all these people get to the conference? Private jets. So many that they couldn't just send them to Glasgow. They had to send them to other airports like Oban and Edinburgh. And not only that, how did Joe Biden arrive to the summit in an 8 miles per gallon car, flanked with, I think it was another 7 cars and a helicopter?
Or for him to have a nap.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just, you hear all this bluff. And when you get down to the truth of it, you just go, no, I'm not having this. Yeah. All those private jets burn off so much fuel compared to the rest of the population that it's negligible what the population use.
It could have been an
interesting one. Interesting one, this the whole climate change thing and like how it's being brought to the forefront even more now. Because I feel like there's something behind the climate change as to why they're trying to push it even more, but I don't get what the story is again as to why. Is it just we just want to tax people on more shit?
I think it's just tax.
It's with tax and control. This just layers. This is the pandemic, but the climate change just layers on top, right? It's just now it's yet another reason why can't you go on holiday? Why can't you have these things? Why can't you have a job that does this X, Y, Z? Why do we have to raise taxes? We're saving the planet. So
I will not go on holiday when Jeff Bezos gets rid of his private jets, his yachts, his cars, his supercars, his numerous homes.
What about his space rocket?
Space rockets. Yeah. I will not go on holiday when he does all that.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. I tweeted it out, right? It was like Prince Charles had that big picture where he's like, oh yeah, we all need to cut back. And they're all discussing climate change in the most opulent room you can ever imagine, with a huge chandelier that's all just like a palace, and they're all just there. No one's wearing a mask, and you're just like they're not even trying. Like if I was to do this and genuinely try and get the world's population to be convinced that genuinely the climate change mattered and you all need to stay at home to save the planet, I would do it on Zoom. But they don't even care. They get together on private jets, go in palaces, talk about bullshit where there's pictures of Biden falling asleep in the first 10 minutes. You're like, what is even this? They're not even this. His act isn't even good. It's like pathetic, but it doesn't seem to matter because I think most people don't pay attention. So they just think they just wait for the output, right? They just go, "What? Okay."
I'm paying no attention. When they get somewhere by a private jet, I'm like, you know what? You've got no say. Absolute no say.
But the problem is when your taxes go up, you will pay because it will just be baked in, and they'll go, yeah. There's now a 7% carbon tax added in.
But that's the difference. But there's people saying they will change their lifestyle and agree with it, but I'm not going to agree with it.
No, they won't. They won't be asking you to change your lifestyle. They will just tax you. They will force it, and certain items will cost more, and your taxes will go up. It's like what Biden slipped into a US bill. This whole infrastructure thing. He slipped in an additional.
You say that he slipped it in. He has not got the mental capacity to do that.
No, of course he hasn't. It's just people, the puppets that control Biden.
Biden, really? No. Yeah.
Biden was for 2 hours. Never mind. Slip something into the bill. But it was the per mile tax in America. So every mile you drive, you get taxed. On top of that, obviously that usually the tax on per mile driving is petrol because you get taxed shit tons on petrol. In America, they're bringing in a new law that on top of petrol, just every mile you drive, your car will record it and you get a bill because that's your carbon tax.
I'll wait for that to be implemented to fully believe it'll go through.
Yeah. It's already gone through. It's just it's not come into practice yet because it's just gone through the bill. It's going to take a couple of years. But again, and this is what everyone like is slightly in disbelief of these new taxes. But then once they come in, they never go away. And
never. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's like with everything.
It's like
once it comes in, it's just nibbles away, and it also comes back to again a great book, such a good book, The Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth. Things should be getting cheaper. They shouldn't be going up because technology is getting better. But we're not. We as the average individuals are not experiencing that. So, at what point is enough enough?
you just get on a Bitcoin standard, and then we'll be fixed, won't we?
Yeah.
We just need another country.
El Salvador.
Yeah, I think that's literally what it's going to be. Where they go, Bitcoiners can go to this country, start a new country, and they'll be like, "Fuck off."
Yes.
Anyway, we're kind of going on a massive tangent on about COP26. What do we want to move on to next?
Well, talking about El Salvador, I've got the story up here. We've got they bought another 420 Bitcoin, which just links into Elon brilliantly as well because Elon loves 69 and 420, and El Salvador just bought another 420 Bitcoin. I just love 420. It wasn't 419, it wasn't 421. It was 420. You know, the classic weed number.
I was going to say it's about weed. So what the hell is El Salvador big?
That's just funny, man. It's a meme. Like it's just a meme.
Yeah, it just goes with the world of Bitcoin.
It's just funny. So I think they've got like 1,500 Bitcoin or something now. That's quite a big buy for them. 420. It's like sometimes we get a bit like used to Sailor buying like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. Someone buying 420, like what's that? It's like in reality, it's a shit ton of Bitcoin. For a country, I guess it's not a lot, but for El Salvador, they're a small little country, 6 million people.
Yeah, 24 million.
And a great little story
is to obviously track them going up and up and up, and sure in the country rankings.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to start flying. Like they're going to be right down the bottom at the moment, but they're going to fly up in the next 10 years.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because they rank very low in terms of poverty and things like murder rates, so they aren't great. So we're watching this in real time, seeing how it turns around and how quickly it will turn them around. Yeah. There's hope.
Well, and here's something Bukulele is trying to do, right? Is what do we always say with Bitcoin when you're trying to get past the gains? It's education.
Yeah.
So Bukulele's one of his big policies is to build another 400 schools in El Salvador. And because purely of his Bitcoin gains, he's adding another 20 to that. So you're going to build 420 for Bali, 420 again, 420 schools in El Salvador. And it's really clever, actually, because the way he's doing this, is he doesn't need to sell his Bitcoin, because the way he's doing it, I read a Twitter feed of him because he got called out straight away when this came out. They're like, what are you doing? You don't sell profit in Bitcoin. Like, you've only been in for a couple of months. Like, just keep it, and then it will keep going up. He's like, no, we're not selling it. The Bitcoin is here, but then we have a fund in dollars, and the fund in dollars has to track the Bitcoin. And so at the time, I don't know what the amount was, but let's just say it's 100 million. So the 100 million went up 20 million. So what he has access to is he can dip into this US dollar fund. The Bitcoin stays the same. They still have the same amount of sats, but the fund, someone else has to keep plowing money in because the fund is now worth more. So what he's done is taken out 20 schools worth of money from the fund and gone, I want to use some profit.
But he's an evil dictator.
I know, yeah.
I've seen those articles appear over the last couple of months. So it's one to wait and see, because I think the evidence will be hard to deny once it gets to a certain point. So
just going back to the original thing that you mentioned as well about the whole poverty and the murder rates, it's probably worthwhile tracking those as well, because it's like normal, isn't it? Any country that's in disrepair and obviously has like an internal civil war going on, things like that goes on. But if you start educating the people have more pride in themselves, they carry themselves different, and the kids, it's always, I think, a good place to start, will then be a lot more respectful. And I could see the turnaround happen in 10, 15 years, because they'll be the brains of tomorrow.
Yeah,
fair point.
Because in reality, all these countries that are struggling, this is what happens with hyperinflation. People don't just lose money; murder rates go up. Like,
correct,
the rates go up. Just domestic violence, just everything. Like, when people have no money, they are desperate, and they will steal and they will kill. They will, they've got nothing to lose. Where once you give people a purpose in life and you give them a career, you give them a house, you give them the opportunity to have a stable family relationship, and now they have something to lose, and they will fight to keep that. They won't just kill someone in a bar over a random argument. Yeah, because they've got too much to lose at the moment. When people are just working and their money just evaporates, they just walk around and they just don't care, and they will try and rob someone for $100, and they don't mind if they get shot doing so. And that's what's happening in El Salvador at the moment. And he's trying to get them out of that. And that's why they're adopting a Bitcoin standard. And that's why we think the countries that are going to take it next, the countries exactly like this, that have high murder rates. Brazil,
Venezuela.
Yeah, those countries have the probably highest murder rates in the world. They're the ones that need Bitcoin first. It'd probably actually be the easiest way to track who's going to take Bitcoin first, is just get on murder rate, sort it from highest to lowest. That's the order. Probably wouldn't be too far off.
Yeah. Where should we go next?
One which is kind of goes, I'm just going to push us to one which I kind of think fits in with some of the other subjects which we talked about when we're talking about climate change, and then the UN and hunger, is the NHS. So some news which has come about. I think we got this one quite some time ago. I think it's quite old. So NHS is paying 2,000 consultants as much as 6,600 per day. So working this out, I can't remember what average I used on this one, but if you think 2,000 consultants every day, and if you put them on, say, £3,000 a day, so put it on a low rate, low ball it, that's £6 million a day. And if you say they work on average 200 days a year, that's 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
So this is a track and trace. It's not curing anything. It's not curing COVID. It's track and trace. So my point around track and trace, testing and all this, which we've plowed tens of billions into, why are we doing this? If you put this into the NHS, then you're actually enabling us to handle a deadly disease. So why are we going down this line of, we'll hire consultants about planning for test and trace, and then we'll also hire people to do testing sites, when it actually means nothing. What does an infection mean when you haven't actually got the resource to handle the ill people in your country? That was my initial thought, so I thought I'd jump on that one.
Yeah, it's just great for it.
Yeah, the NHS is a money pit within itself as well that will never ever resolve itself, and it's probably because it will never go. Well, I say never say never, but there'll be an almighty uproar should it go private, and people can't get access to it. But how long can it just continue? I say for free, or taking the taxes from people to pay for it when there's not enough to pay for it. We have to make up the money to then put into the NHS.
I disagree with that. There is some money to pay for it. It's the fact that we live in a fiat world, so the money doesn't go there. So it's the same as the UN, which is where I was getting at, linking the stories. You put in 2 billion, how much filters down to actual care? 200 million. You've got executives, you've got friends getting paid off, you've got contractors who aren't needed. So you kind of got all this filtering going on. You're probably getting 1/10 of the money actually going down to needed care.
Well, yeah, you're right. To those that need it, it's going there somewhere, but it's not being used properly because it's being wasted, because it's not being run like a proper business, kind of like what we were talking before we went live. If there were true business individuals running the NHS and not just thinking, but Shelley, she's nice, and actually said, well, does she do a good job though? Then I think you'd probably reach our conclusion of where you need to put the money.
Because I was looking into this around the division of actual medical kind of expertise against admin, and in America, I can't remember how long ago it was now, but I think it's like a 20 or 30 year comparison. And essentially the ratio of a doctor to an admin staff 30 years ago was 5-1. So for one doctor, you have 5 admin. So that was the ratio basically in the 90s. This is in America. Fast forward to today, 1 doctor, 250 admin staff.
Oh, wow. I thought 5 was high.
I know. I thought 5 was high. Wow.
250. It's just insane. So basically, your whole point, and this is why, right? Because these people are being, this is where the money is being spent. You have NHS, because like some guy getting paid $7,000 a day, and there's 2,000 of them doing test and trace. This isn't even close to what the best doctor in the world gets paid. And these guys are just working on some IT system that doesn't even fucking work.
It doesn't solve any problems.
But I think who's the person that, going back to the point though, who's the person that says, wow, it used to be 5-1, now it's 250-1. We need to get back to those days, even though 5-1 is probably really high anyway. No one wants to take that on because you will look like the horrible dictator, the dickhead that you've slashed. Slashed NHS jobs.
I think it's something silly like 16% of employees in the UK are through the NHS or something silly like that. There's a really high number. Yeah. So you slash away the admin, you probably reduce that down to 3% or something.
Yeah, I think it's nearly 50% work for the government overall. And it's about 1/3 of those work just for the NHS. And hardly any of them are medical. Hardly any of them are patient facing. Yeah. Nearly all of it is middle management in some shape or form. It's it's just crazy because obviously, like, we're 18 months into this now, right? So test and trace, clearly, even if you thought it mattered before, I mean, anyone with a brain now knows, shut this thing down. Like, why are we even testing and tracing people? There's no lockdown. Everyone is out and about. Everyone's at work. Everyone's going to football games. Everyone is partying. Like, it doesn't matter. And the worst thing about this article is it was written last week, and there's still, was it £6 million a day spent on consultants doing a test and trace platform?
This was me lowballing at £3,000 a day. So I thought I'd use a middle figure because the 6,000 will be the highest earners, you know, like the execs at, say, Serco and KPMG, the contractors coming in. So I thought, let's put in £3,000, so that's 6 million. And then if we look at over a year, 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about this is this is the tip of the iceberg on the NHS waste. Yeah. You know, so you can put billions. So I think if we did sort this out and have a Bitcoin standard where money is accountable, and you kind of go, that's waste, stop it, you would have this running very efficiently. And if you have a problem, you'd see a specialist the next day.
Yeah, and you'd pay for it, yeah. And if the government were trying to help, or an insurance company was trying to help, they'd be incentivized to really make it efficient, because they would only have a certain amount of payments, but they have infinite money. And the problem is, I can guarantee these consultants, they're going to be nephews, cousins, just distant relatives, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends of the politicians that are signing off this money.
Yeah.
It's just this is the classic money printer, third-party contractors.
Yes.
Here's a section of contractors. They get given huge amounts of money. It's just silly.
Because it's infinite, isn't it? No one's going to turn this tap of money off because of the sentiment that it has within the certainly within the British public. Whereas, in other countries, if you ain't paying, you could be sat there with a broken leg at the front desk and they're not treating you.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to funny stories of the week, I think? Hack or wrecked or shitcoin corner.
Go on. Let's do shitcoin corner. It's got some big stuff in it.
Oh, Shiba. So Shiba Moons. Yeah. So we kind of touched upon this. Apparently I'm a Shiba enthusiast, but everyone knows I'm all about Dink Doink. So one user turned $8,000 to $5.7 billion for Shiba. So this is one which the wife actually spoke to me, said, have you got anything in Shiba? I was like, no. And she's like, why not? I'm like, it's a shit coin.
You talk about the fucking podcast all the time.
Yeah. I talk about it twice, according to her. I talk about Dink Doink all the time. If Dink Doink moons, that's down to me to create the traffic. But my wife even asked me about this. God knows, it's on Facebook or the Daily Mail or something like that. I was like, no, it's a shit coin. What's a shit coin? It's basically a coin which has no use. And it's a gamble. That's why I haven't got any. So
it's not just a gamble, it's a scam, isn't it?
Do we know whether it is Nancy Pelosi's account?
It's not Nancy.
She'd love to probably be associated with it, but no, it's not.
And there's a second bit to it. So I didn't even know this as a coin. Squid Game coin. So someone has named a coin after a series and loads of morons bought it.
It's got a chance to go up. It only needs to get to $1. It's a classic. Like it's the hot trend of the moment, even though it's kind of literally been a trend, been and gone. You watch the series, it's done. Probably be a number 2, but hey, that's it.
But so they pulled the rug on this one, and within 10 minutes, it went down to pretty much zero.
Yeah, on CoinMarketCap, it said minus 100%. Because it went from $2,856 to 0.00008. So in like literally minutes, because the developers owned all the money. But the Squid Game one, I actually quite love it as a scam, because it's obviously piggybacking on the film. And it also, they did it on Halloween. So everyone was dressing up as Squid Game for Halloween.
Yeah.
And everyone was excited by Shiba as well, because Shiba had just gone up early in the week. So you launched this Squid Game thing, and everyone's like, well, this is the next Shiba. Very clearly. The next Shiba, loads of people.
You couldn't pull the money out. So you can actually... That's the biggest sign, isn't it? It's not your keys.
People don't check this shit, right? They don't check it. This scam was quick, right? They launched it, and I think within 2 days they rugged it. So they only actually, like, weirdly, I think the actual market cap of this coin went to 2 trillion at some point, which is obviously all fake, because it all depends on how many coins there are. If you basically if you create 2 trillion coins and the one coin gets to $1, then technically you're worth 2 trillion. You're not, but
it's because the developers and the owners had like most of it, apart from a couple hundred coins or whatever it is.
Exactly. Wow. So yeah, they waited for basically for about £2.5 million to get put in, and then they just rugged it. They sold 99% of their coins and bang, tanked the market in
unbelievable.
So what's our little phrase for this? Play silly games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
Have fun staying poor.
Yeah. Never gonna make it.
But yeah, it's a weird one because there's like kind of like that whole different edge to these coins where like you see one success with Dogecoin and Shiba and everyone gets excited, and then there's going to be like 100 Squid Games now and everyone will get wrecked because they think that this might be Shiba, even though because Shiba is the same, right? Shiba is still a scam, but for whatever reason. And by the way, when he turned that 8K into 5 billion, he didn't make 5 billion. Like if he tried to sell the 5 billion, he wouldn't have made more than 10 million. There's no liquidity. There's not 5 billion worth of people buying that shit. So if you had 5 billion, if you had 5 billion in Bitcoin and you could actually sell it, you'd probably, if you actually had 5 billion in Bitcoin, you actually don't. You probably only have say 3 billion because you would tank the price. But if you have 5 billion in Shiba, no, you couldn't. If you sold 1 billion, the price goes to zero. So you don't really have it. It's just on paper it looks that way. But, yeah.
I was going to say, it's when, like with most articles, just in any media, when you really look deep into the story, you pass the headline and you do a little bit of research, you see things for what they really are, don't you?
Yeah. Sweet.
Of a week, talking about the NFTs.
Yeah, let's get to the NFTs. Because again, we were talking about the NFTs offline. There's Nike, there's Disney, and there's also the WWE that have talked about launching their NFTs. And here we've got some dumb people. They were saying, hello FBI, someone has stolen my pretend cartoon apes. So for those that don't know, the CryptoPunk apes are like kind of hot out there and the latest trend, which everybody obviously wants to wear.
How much are they selling for?
Crazy money, like in the millions.
What? So this moron has got millions and he's got fucking apes.
Well, I think
he hasn't anymore.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he hasn't anymore.
He can. I'm sure he right-clicked them at some point.
so someone did that exactly to him. He in this thread where he says, "I've lost it." Someone commented, going, "I got it back for you. Here it is," and pasted it in. And then the next comment is, "You've been blocked." Yeah.
There's a poll of whether he cried on the phone call to the FBI.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Because like obviously that like the tweet is like a bit of a joke, but like he does say like someone managed to trick him into like uploading his MetaMask or something, and they got his private key, drained to his NFTs, and yeah, he says he's contacted the FBI and gave them all his info. It's like, just imagine being the guy at the FBI going, "Oh yeah, someone stole some JPEGs off me." They're like, "What? How?" Like, "Oh, I gave them access to my computer and they just took them." Well, right. What do you want us to do about it?
Yeah.
Like with the FBI, like, did anyone hurt you? Did they steal anything of value? Like,
it's a major crime.
These JPEGs are worth like 400 grand each or something. Like, well, why are they? That is just hilarious. I doubt he's even contacted the FBI. He's just saying it to like scare the people that have actually stolen them, that to think the FBI is after them, but they're clearly not going to be.
But the thing is, these NFTs will be particularly marked. I'm guessing they're relatively unique. So how do you resell them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is like in reality stealing a Monet or something. Yeah, because there's only 20 of them, and yeah, if you've got one of them, and the guy that had it before you literally has been public about it's been stolen and put it on Twitter, and it's got thousands of likes. when you go out into the marketplace and go, anyone want a money? It's like, that's the next one, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, exactly. Unless they're just, some people are just like fucking NFTs, bunch of morons, and just had him just for the lols.
Yeah, and that's what I don't get, because the whole purpose of it is the whole flex, isn't it? And if you're not going to flex with the real one, and you can just right click it, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to use that as my NFT digital avatar, then yeah, so be it. But I'm lost with it as to why people will actually do it.
Yeah, well,
can't use it.
Well, they'll be stealing it to resell it.
Yeah,
fundamentally. But it's whether it's got any resale value, because it's stolen. But I suppose in the world of decentralization, it's like it's an anonymous person selling it back on an NFT website. So technically, say like it was worth 400k before. If I got them for free, if I just listed them all for 100k, people will buy them, right? You'd be like, oh, that's a stolen one though. It's like, yeah, but I'm getting it for 100k, not 400k. So who knows? It'd be interesting to see if they pop up on some NFT website and see if anyone buys them.
I was going to say, or you see in some random forum somebody using that NFT as their avatar, which is a verified avatar. You'd be like, hold on, I recognize that. It's like the new digital missing person, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We got FUD of the week. It's a nice basic one, this one. We've got a dumbass guy. I don't even know who the fuck he is. He's called Tom. And he's saying he's scared to take his Bitcoin off an exchange, put it on a hardware wallet. He doesn't think most people want to do that. He likes trusting a bank. And that's what he thinks most people will do.
I don't know. History tells us different. And also as well, show again, because like I'm starting to become a little bit more skeptic about things. Is this a made-up story? Is this that type of story that the banks want to try to seed into the public's mind to then get them to drift to, maybe you should leave us with those.
His expression just says he wants the attention. So I haven't actually watched the video, but I just put it on silent while we were watching Ben, and his expression said he just wants the attention. It's like that TED talk about that woman who had the man who apparently raped her, but they're both drunk, so either they both didn't consent or they both did. But she wanted the attention, so they did a TED talk about it.
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
No, I'm just saying it's a pure attention play online. And this is a problem about it. Like, have you seen that TED talk?
No.
Oh, it's pretty much like the lowest of the low. Like, literally, please give me attention. So a couple got drunk, they got together, they had sex, and she said because she was drunk, she couldn't consent. But the even more soy thing about this was the fact that he agreed to go on the TED talk.
What, and say that he raped her?
Yeah, because she couldn't consent because she was drunk.
What a fool.
But he was drunk as well.
Jeez, I hope it at least got a sneaky BJ for doing that.
But that's what I was saying. It just reeks of attention, that video. I haven't watched him actually listen to him. But the fact is, just how he's doing it, he was displaying his emotions over the top. It just says that it's just, please give me attention.
Yeah, I think in reality he's just not a real Bitcoiner yet. I think he gets Bitcoin, but he's just going. Actually, yeah, because one of the things he actually says,
this was the guy.
It's just too high. It's too hard. And it's like there's lots of things in life that are too hard, mate. Like, going to work is hard to earn money. Like, building a house is hard. Like, growing crops is hard. Like, everything is hard in life, right? But nearly everything that's worthwhile doing in life is hard. So spending a little bit time on learning how to secure your net worth and your like generations worth of money is hard. I agree, but is it worth it? It's all about, is it difficult but worth the payoff? And learning how to secure your own Bitcoin is clearly worth it. He just kind of strikes me as one of these guys that just goes, you know what? I want everything automated, everything easy. Don't want anything to like clutter my brain because I want my Netflix, I want my Deliveroo, I want everything just like nice and easy. It's like, right, I get that. I get that everyone wants things simple, but you know what? Simplicity means you're relying on others for fucking everything. And that is fine if you can trust those people. The last like 20, 30, 40, 50 years have proven we cannot trust these third-party institutions to look after our money. So if you're going to be like Tom and you're going to keep trusting these third-party institutions to look after your money, then even though you invested in the soundest asset that human beings have ever invented, they're going to steal it from you because you don't hold the keys. No keys, no cheese. Don't be like Tom.
Well, this was the Tom I was mentioning earlier on. I didn't realize. Yeah. So essentially he's just got into the whole world of investing.
Oh, do you know this guy?
No, this is the guy that I was like,
you know, like of him, like of his podcast.
Yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
he's a douchebag, man. I know he is.
This is what I don't get. He has earned himself millions of pounds, and I'm like, how have you done this? And then you can't do this. You don't get it. Like he even said up until about 6 months ago, when they were talking about money, like how are they getting all of this physical money like to people, and didn't realize that it's like an actual SQL server where people are manually updating the amount of US dollars that are there. And he was just like, I just can't wrap my head around it at all. And so complete noob to it, but I think he is the example of many where people just don't want to switch on.
Lazy.
Exactly.
Not going to make it.
Yeah. Although he's already made it. But he's not going to make it in Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, you might lose it.
Yeah.
He's holding it all in fiat or in Bitcoin on exchange, then it's going to get taken from him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, do you want to do our final story? I think it's the final one anyway. The Bitcoin Boiz.
Oh, gosh.
Did you guys see these? The Island Boys.
I don't think it. Yeah, because it's.
I literally can't say the term Island Boys without saying it in Jamaican now.
I'm an island boy.
I keep on seeing all over Twitter, and all the Bitcoin lot just rip them, and then they make a Bitcoin song.
Yeah. Well, they're on Cameo, right? So they're on Cameo. I don't know what they were charging, but there's a shit ton of these guys. Just like literally, you can go on Cameo, pay them a couple $100, I think, and they'll just read out whatever script you give them. So someone obviously gave them a script that said this. So they're going like Bitcoin Boiz up to 100K. Like, it's funny. But I respect them. I think they're all right. They're doing their thing. Like, whatever. Good luck to them.
I just feel for their whole, like, when they get a little bit older, these twins, and then they realize, oh my gosh, I've drawn on my face. My hair is an absolute mess. And just
RIP Frank, whoever Frank is. Like,
exactly. Like, it's just a whole mess. But kids will follow them.
Yeah, well, I've made a prediction that like in the next 12 months they'll have a #1 hit single.
If we can if we get them to do more Bitcoin songs for us, then maybe we should promote them.
The problem is they've already done like a dozen shit coins, but they're just rent boys, right? They'll just do whatever. They'll say whatever you want for money. But I must admit, like I kind of admire them because the whole internet space is super crowded, right? It's super busy. Everyone's being crazy. Everyone's trying to get noticed. And like their little video, I don't even know what is so viral about it. They're just sat there in like this little swimming pool. It's fucking tiny. and they're just rapping about the Island Boys, and it doesn't even make any sense.
Is it rapping, or is it just really out of tune singing?
I don't
It's
know.
really out of tune.
But everybody has literally heard it. Everybody.
Yeah.
And I say fair play to them, because I think they're literally going to be millionaires off the back of this. So I just say fair play. I don't know how you did it.
They've got all these tattoos before they've really got going. It must have cost them a fair amount. I mean, they're shit, but it must have cost them a fair amount to actually get that inked up.
Yeah, well, to be fair, their tattoos are really bad, so it probably didn't cost that much, to be fair. But
they're covered in little things. It's not just a big block, it's loads of little lines. So it must have cost them a fair bit to actually get that. Did they get it on credit or Klarna?
It depends. If you've got a mate with a tattoo gun, then it can be quite cheap, to be fair.
Or a 5-year-old.
Because
that's what it looks like.
It's doodles on a bit of paper, isn't it? With like goo and.
I wonder if someone's paid them like to put certain things on there.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
they seem to be pretty much up for sale.
I think people forget, like, this is people from the equivalent of the US council estate. These kids will be from that type of demographic.
They're from Florida, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've got a very fake. No, they're
Florida.
They think they're from Jamaica, but they're from Florida.
Yeah. And they've come into money, they've come into a little bit of fame, and obviously they don't know how to work it and treat it properly. And a couple of years' time, they'll be nowhere to be seen. But for now, make the money, boys.
Yeah, they do remind me of the Cashmere Outside. How about that? Girl?
Yeah, 100%. Bad Barbie.
And
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, well, it's great. Like, she's on a chat show, and she's basically, she offers out the entire audience to fight her, and it becomes a meme. And then she becomes a rapper, and now she earns millions rapping. She's done legitimate like crossovers with genuine rappers. I think she opened up an OnlyFans and made like $1 million in the first 2 days of having an OnlyFans. I can just see these guys doing the same thing. I'm already just slightly following their Twitter feed, and there's a whole host of like A-lister rappers wanting to collaborate with the Island Boys, because everyone just knows it's money. Just whoever gets the first, like, imagine the Island Boys collaborate with Drake or something. Like, it's just going to go fucking crazy, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter how shit it is. It's just going to go mental. Like, it's just money. It's the money printer. And
they're the equivalent of Jedward.
Yeah. But weirdly a little bit cooler. I don't really know why. Because they were just a complete like joke. These guys are like got a little bit of edge.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're doing all the right things.
I think I tweeted the Jedward on acid.
Yeah. There you go.
But I think it's also a little bit of a sign of the whole fiat system, right? Like the youngsters out there, they're so screwed that I think everyone's just rolling the dice, going YOLO into stupid investments. Let's go out there, tattoo on my face, see if I can go viral. It's probably their best chance of getting a house. So you got to kind of respect the hustle.
Yeah.
I think that's us.
We had Mr. Blobby top of the charts in like 90s, so let's not go down that route. And in the 70s, I'm pretty sure the Wombles were in the charts.
Yeah, they're all done by people that were in their 50s.
This is the modern age right now, and it's shocking to think, but I think this is the way things are going.
Yeah, if you want to buy a house, you got to go viral and tattoo your face.
You got to buy a tattoo gun and get your mate to tattoo your face.
Yeah.
And just pray it goes viral. Otherwise, you just tattooed your face for no reason.
I think also as well, like, they grew up in and I say grew up because of probably very similar ages, but 6ix9ine, what's his name? Tekashi 6ix9ine. So, it's seen to be the thing. They're actually like Mexican. So it just goes down with that whole thing.
a Mexican, but they think they're Jamaican.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or rolls into one. Right. Well, there we have it. Pod number 29, the world's most bullish podcast, brought to you, as always, by Mr. All In, Dr. 10%, and myself, Sir Never Look. She was here, not here. Mrs. No Show, 4 plebs. We didn't get cancelled, or we'll maybe get cancelled. Who knows? We forgot to shout out Stephen and say his name right. But Stephen, if you watched all the way to the end, we've not forgotten you. Cheers for the comments. And that's us. Yeah, fellow plebs, if you want to hear us, then yeah, tune in.